I want to make my own Damascus knife. So I want to try hand forging my own billet of Damascus. This is something I've never tried before, and I've been keen to have a go at for quite a long time. I'm a big fan of watching Alex Steele's videos, where obviously he uses Damascus an awful lot, and I figure, you know, as very much a rookie blacksmith, it'd be quite fun to try. The main guide I'm sort of following is one from HOJ Forges, which is a brilliant video. I'll link in the description if I can find it again. But yeah, it's really well done, and it does literally give you a step-by-step guide, so that's what I'm going to be trying to do. But before I go doing anything else, I really want to do some more grinding to that anvil. I've bought some more 40 grit sanding belts, and they're ceramic, so they're perfect for metal. So I'm going to have another go and see if I can get the corner a little bit more pronounced on it, because it's still a bit too round for my liking, so I can't really hammer on a soft edge. So that'll be first. However, fear not, I shall not bore you with the actual grinding. This is the before. And this is the after. That is so much better and much more how I want it. I'm not going to get rid of these dinks are stuck. My only option there would be to weld it, but if I try and weld in the gaps, I'm likely to ruin the temper of the surface, and it's not worth sacrificing that. There is still a very slight dip here, but compared to how it was, it's pretty much nothing. So yeah, I mean, okay, it's not perfect, but you know what? It's a lot better than it was, and at least now I can use corners to actually put edges on things. So here's what we've been doing. We have been cutting up just a long slice of 15N20 stock steel and 1080 stock steel. And then what I'm doing is I've just been layering each one alternately to create my first sort of attempt at a Damascus billet. So this is what I've come up with now. We've got them all welded together in between each one, so that's 15N20 and 1080 steel, and then just welded to a piece of stock mild steel. So that is going to be what I'm sticking in the forge and trying to forge weld together. From what I gather, this can be pretty difficult, well, for a newbie anyway, so we can only wait and see how successful this is. To be continued. So I've now put the hopefully soon to be billet in, and I was wondering why it was taking so long for it to heat up, and then I realised I'd forgotten to close off the ash chute. So all the air I was trying to pour into the fire was just blowing straight out its arse. I'm an idiot. So this stuff is borax, which is basically dish soap, and the idea is it stops things like oxygen getting in between the layers of metal, which can mean that they don't weld properly together. So it stops the metal oxidizing. I've never done this before, so bear with me. If you know better, by all means give me advice. Right, I think I'm just about getting this thing up to welding temperature, so the next shot I'm just going to be getting the billet straight on here and giving it a few good hard whacks, trying to get the metal to forge together. Welds together. We'll see whether or not it works though. Woo! Now we've got some heat going, boy. That is cooking in there. That's the first welding heat done. Put some more borax on. Again, trying to stop the metal from oxidizing too quickly. And straight back in the forge with it. Same again. Second welding heat done. More borax. Oh, that's hot. Back in the fire. So, I think I'm going to do either 3 or 4 forging heats in total. I'll see how well this last one goes. And then I'm going to go from trying to stick it all together to drawing it out. And then we'll fold it again and we'll do another 3 forging heats, I think. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of just making this up as I go. Oh, got a bit hot, this one. Very hot, this one, burned it. Oh man. That's annoying. I've lost quite a lot of metal there. Oh well, nothing to be done. Back in the fire. So, from my understanding, when the metal starts sparking like that, that's when the steel starts to burn and it starts letting off loads of carbon. At that point, again, from my understanding, it's pretty much buggered. So I'll probably need to lop that end off and just count my losses and carry on with what I've got. Ow, scale is hot. I don't know if you can see on the end there, that whole part's knackered, unfortunately. So my handle fell off, but on the plus side it's meant that I can actually now focus on the other end a bit more. But I get the feeling there's going to be a lot of failed welds or delaminations on this. So I might give it another couple of forging heats and see if I can't get it to stick a little bit better. The original plan was, once I've done this, was to try and draw it out and fold it, but as it's a first attempt, I might just leave it at these 7 layers. I know that'll be a bit pathetic, but it's just a bit of an experiment at the moment. Too hot again. Ow! The scale is very hot too. It's all going a bit wrong now. I've got no idea if you can hear my voice over that thing, but this is all going really quite wrong. So we've burned one end, we've lost the handle, we've burned the other end, and I think my very poorly made bolt jaw tongs are slowly giving up the ghost as well. So I think, depending on how we're looking, I mean, I can already see delaminations all along this thing, so this is probably a bit of a failed effort, but I might try grinding it back and just seeing if we've got anything at all to work with. Bit disappointing, but it is literally my first ever attempt at Damascus welding, and I really don't have the tools or the get set up for it, so... And yes, I'm definitely making a lot of excuses. Alright, let's do one more. No! Come back here. No, fuck it. Okay. Time to concede defeat, I think. What I'll do, I'm going to let this cool, and I'm going to grind it back, and I'm going to see just what we've got, and if needs be I can try welding the handle back on again, and we'll carry on where we left off, but this has broken me a little bit. Never mind. Right, it's cooled down and just been left to anneal, so it should be nice and soft. Next step is to grind it on all sides and look for any delaminations, and I'm also going to just lop off either end with the cutting disc, and we'll see what we're left with, but I'm not crossing my fingers if I'm honest. I think I'll be very lucky if this is welded successfully. This is where we're at. So, I mean, at this end it looked like it actually welded successfully. There's no obvious delaminations. There's a slight line just there in the middle, don't know if you can see, just here. So focus, come on, focus. But I don't know if that's the lamination or whether that's just the difference in the pattern. But down here, you can see it very definitely has failed to forge. I keep saying forge, sorry, failed to weld. I've taken it back quite a ways, and then again at the other end it looks like it's successful, more or less, but obviously I burned the steel, so... I'll have a look at the other side, just out of interest I think, but yeah, I don't think this billet's going to be usable. I think this is... just have to put this one down to lack of experience and as a practice run, which is a shame. Yeah, see, again, either end, they look pretty good, but straight down the middle, got this big old delamination, well, a few of them actually. Looks like there might be a smaller one on the far side as well. It's a shame really. What I might possibly do is, it just seems like such a shame to waste a bit of metal. I really don't like doing it because it's quite expensive, especially here in the UK. I don't know if there's anything I can make out of it, to be honest with you. Maybe certainly not as like a blade of Damascus or something, but it's too hot to touch at the moment. I really don't know. I guess I can just put a touch mark in it and use it as a reminder not to be such an idiot again. Yeah, use it as a learning curve. So here's a thought. Having actually properly ground it down, both ends have actually welded beautifully. Like, you know, that was, what, 7 layers earlier? That's very definitely, on both sides, one solid piece of steel now. And there's no delaminations in that at all that I can see. It's just the sides. So what I'm thinking, and I may be completely wrong here, it may well be that this is beyond help, but I might try just giving it another few whacks and just hopefully seeing if I can actually fix it. I don't know, I've no idea, I've never done this before, so I can only try. Got nothing to lose at this point, so let's give it a try. massive crack appearing on that side. Get some borax on there. Oh, man. Hang on. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see here, but hang on, let's get the focus on. Come on. Focus, you bugger. Well, there's still a big crack down that side. I know you can't see very well, sorry, and it's carrying on. There you go, you can see that one much better. So what I'm probably going to have to do is just grind off that layer. Following a guide from HOJ Forges, he says if you catch them quick enough, you can normally sort them out, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get rid of it and make do with what I'm left with. Well, there was a point there where I thought it was actually going quite well, and we might be able to salvage this, but that is a big old crack, and it goes all the way through, unfortunately, so I don't know. I'll keep playing with it, because if nothing else it's just practice, but I think this is done, to be honest with you. I might be able to make something, but it's not going to be anything great. Oh hum. God damn it! Ow! Nothing all day, and then 2 hot bits of scale down, 1 each glove. Yeah, I'm losing my temper now, I'm not going to lie. I think I might have to have a break again, because yeah, when you start getting stressed, that's when things start going wrong, so never mind. Let's pause there for a while. So, I've been experimenting with grinding it back, and this is what I've discovered. So, I don't know if you can see, but those sort of 2 islands, if you like, those were the first top piece, and as you can see, it's completely delaminated. You can almost actually, you know, you can feel it with your fingernail through that gap there. So what I've been doing is I've been grinding it back and seeing just how far the delamination goes, and actually on this side it looks like it's welded very solidly just on this end. You can see the crack carries on up, but it seems to stop somewhere around here. So what I might do is I might just cut off like the square, pretty much what's holding the pliers, and see if I can just make something really simple out of that. Maybe just like a coin or something, just to have a look, see what it looks like, but I'm not sure. That it might be usable, but I think the rest is just gone. That top layer is terrible, and I don't think I'm going to have enough material left to play with. It doesn't look too bad on the other side. It looks like that side welded okay, but just that top layer maybe. Don't know. We'll see. I'll keep grinding and let you know. Well, this is what I'm left with, but it does seem, I believe, to have welded. I'm not 100% sure, there might be a little line just through there, but it looks pretty okay from every other side. It's a little bit sad that with all that metal, that's what I've come away with, but I don't know, I can make something with that, I guess. Let's find out anyway. Boop. Right then, here's where we're now at. So we've just drawn it out slightly into a elongated shape, put a twist in it, and now we need to hammer it flat, and hopefully that should give us a nice twist Damascus pattern. But oh man, look how small it is, it's pathetic. Such a shame that that's all that's left. Oh well, again, here we go. Switch it back on. And here is what we are left with, which is very tiny and very cute. I've just got to work on a design now, so I'll do the profiling on the grinder. I've got no idea quite what I'm going to do with this, but it is itty bitty. Oh well, be interesting to see if the pattern comes through or not. I suppose that's really what this is all about. Okay, so here we go. Here's the basic shape ground. It's not done or anything, but I've given it a quick wipe down with acetone, and I've got some ferric chloride here, and I just want to see if the twist pattern has worked. So I'll give it a quick little dip into the ferric. Being careful not to get this on our fingers because it doesn't do nice things apparently. And hopefully, given a second, we should get a bit of a pattern emerging. There you go, little stripes appearing. Let's have a look on the other side. Yeah, you can see that clearly. Not as many as I'd like, but you know what? It'll do for a first attempt. And it's a crappy little knife, so it doesn't need to be anything special. Cool. It's a new day, and I've just been coming up with some designs for the blade and the handle with the metal I've got. This is what I was left with yesterday. But I've kind of already done this shaped blade before, and I don't really think it suits this. This size. Looks a bit weird. So I quite like this this one here I've done with a nice sort of scooping slow blade, almost like a sort of penknife blade. And then for the handle, I think this one suits it the best, where it follows the line of the tang. I've got this nice bit of poplar wood, and I've just sketched out the design. So what I'm going to be doing today is I need to grind the tang flat, because obviously it's quite thick at the moment, so I need it about the same size as the blade. And I think I might put like a little guard on it, just out of some normal sheet steel, just cut into a small square. And then it'll be a case of trying to sort out the handle. So that'll be the sort of design I'm left with, obviously with a slightly different blade shape. Let's give it a try. Right, here's where we're at. So the tang has been shaped, and the blade has been sanded down to a 120 grit. Next stage is to probably start working on the guard, which I think I'm going to use a bit of stainless steel for. Got a nice big bar of that, so I'll just chop a little square off the end. Alright, so we're a little bit further on now. I've got this pretty much the size I want. We are looking at about pretty much just over 5mm wide at the middle. Oops, come here. About 6mm wide at the top. And yeah, so 5 at the bottom, 6 at the top. So a very gradual taper all the way down. The other thing is, oh, this is going to be difficult one hand, sorry, bear with me. Oh, come here. There we go. So thickness wise, we're looking at pretty much bang on 2mm. What I've done is I've cut out this little square of stainless steel, which I'm going to be using as the guard. And I need to now drill some 2mm holes through it. Stainless steel is horrible on drill bits, so I have no idea if this will survive. This is only high-speed steel, and ideally I'd need either like a tungsten or a titanium, but we will see. So I reckon 2 of them, or just 2 apart, and then you know what I mean. I can't talk. Bleh. I'm going to drill a hole. smoother than expected. I was expecting to burn through at least one drill bit, but shouldn't speak too soon. I've still got one more to drill yet. Right, here's a little trick I learned from Alex Steele. Having drilled the 2 holes, I promptly realised I couldn't get through between them because I don't have any saws or files small enough. So I've taken a normal little nail file and I have ground down, ground down 3 sides of it so that I'm left with what is basically a miniature saw. And that is what I'm using. It takes a long time, but I haven't got anything better, so... Okay, so we've now cut out the piece of wood for the handle. It's just now a case of grinding it down. I've got a nice new belt, so hopefully it shouldn't take too long. Should eat through this poplar pretty easily, I think. There we go, rough shaped ground. I think the next step is going to be trying to decide whether I'm going to use this bit of stainless steel on the end, because it's proving an absolute nightmare to fit up. Trying to file that to fit this is proving nigh on impossible. But I don't know whether it's just a case of patience or cutting my losses, to be honest with you. So, it's getting there, beginning to. Yeah. It's so close. I'm just trying to get that last little bit. I've had to ruin yet another file. This used to be square, but I couldn't get the corners, so it's now gone from that to that. But it seems to be doing the trick. At least now I'm in the last final hurdle, and then I can finally get to shaping this collar. Well, it took a while, but we got there. It's not the best fit, but do you know what? I don't care. It's the first attempt at this I've ever done as well, so as you can see, lots of war wounds. So now I've just got to shape it and make sure it's set to the right angle. Right, I finally feel like we're starting to get towards the end of this. I've now got the handle clamped in the drill. Just a case of drilling the hole in the top. I'm going to try using a 3mm rather than a 2mm, and that'll leave some room for the epoxy as well, make a more secure fit, I think. Maybe. Who knows? So here's a tool I haven't been able to play with for a while, my die grinder. Should be absolutely perfect for a job like this. Let's give it a try. Get rid of that. There we go, that die grinder was the perfect tool for the job. So that's the collar now done, and it does now fit together. Obviously still got a little ways to go, but yeah, I've got to epoxy that, it's a little bit loose. But first I've got to sort out the blade, because there's no point attaching it all together if the blade hasn't been done. So it's hand sanding time, my favourite. Do hand sanding, they said. It'll be fun, they said. So, the trick to hand sanding is going one way with the sandpaper and then the other. I don't know if you can see, but at the top of the blade there's some scratches going downwards, and it carries on to the underside. So what I'm doing with the, that was a 80 grit. What I'm doing with the 180 grit is I'm going against it the other side to side. And you know it's done when the up and down strokes disappear fully. So that side's complete. I've just got to do the other side. Make sure I get rid of all of those, and then I go on to the next grit where I go top to bottom again. There you go.
That is a 180 grit on both sides. As you can see on the main body, there's no horizontal stripes anymore. There's a few sort of along the edge of the blade, but I'm not too worried about them because that's going to get sharpened anyway, so as long as the main body is scratch free. But yeah, so far looks good. Right, 500 grit now. That only took an hour. There you go, after only a couple of goings over with the 500, you can see what I mean about the difference between the up and down and the left and right. So now we just got to get all of that lining up so it's top to bottom. There we go, 500 grit done. And now we just got to do the last 800. Make this thing a mirror. Looks pretty good so far. This is probably, without wanting to jinx it, this is probably the best finish I've done on a knife so far. Yeah. Alright, last one. You know, it's funny, I've done a few 800 grit finishes on some of my blades. But normally I can't really, if I'm honest, I can't really tell the difference between the 500 and the 800. But this is the first time where I can really see it. And I'm not going to lie, it looks amazing. I'm actually genuinely really pleased with how this has come out. I mean, considering that this project has pretty much been a failure in terms of the actual, you know, what the video is supposed to be about, forging Damascus. You know, I've managed to come away with something. And whilst it's not exactly the highest quality, I'd say it's probably on the higher end, which is quite a pleasant surprise actually, I suppose, but it goes to show, if you put the effort in, and the time, I think more importantly, you can still get something quite nice out of it in the end. So here's the bit I'm now, I think, most nervous about, having spent ages getting this to a nice, beautiful 800 grit. It's now time for the etch. So first I need to wipe it down in acetone, and then dunk it into the ferric chloride. So first things first, I need to give it a good clean, so rubber gloves go on. Right, which has got to be done quite quickly before the blade begins to rust. So first things first, crack open the acetone. I'll just give that a good rinse. And a wipe. Make sure there's no oils or impurities from my hands or from this table or anything like that. Okay, we'll give that one more. Just want to make absolutely sure there's not a scratch on this blade. Okay, that looks pretty good. Right then, in the moment of truth, now we go for the etch. Now, I've seen various guides on how to do this. There's several different recipes, but this is neat ferric chloride. So they normally say mix with, or 1 part ferric to 2 parts water, I believe. So let's see, if we've got a pint, if we go for half a pint of water, and then a 1/4 pint of ferric, that, I think, should do it. And then I believe you leave it for about 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes. But I'll be honest, I'm probably going to be watching this thing like a newborn baby. In fact, more so, because newborn babies bounce, whereas this thing, who knows. Right, ferric chloride going in. And our blade, and it goes. And we put that in, and then we pull it out again quickly, just to make sure there's no obvious finger marks or anything on the blade. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'll in and we'll leave that for a few minutes. I'm not going to lie, I'm really nervous. It's only been in there for 2 minutes and it's already turned pitch black. I'm just hoping I got my recipe right. But I guess I can always give it less time. I'll probably take it out in 5 and we'll have a quick look, see how it's getting on. But yeah, all this work, I really want it to come out well. We'll see. So it's been 15 minutes. I had a look at it, but then I was reading a quick guide and I think I got my solution wrong. I don't think it's 1 part to 2 parts. I think it's 1 to 1. So I've put another 1/4 pint of ferric chloride in. And it's in there. It's still pitch black. So I'm going to give it another, I don't know, 5-10 minutes and just keep an eye on it, I guess. I've been staring at this thing so intensely, it's insane. I haven't left. I'm just so nervous, I want it to work. Alright, so I gave it another 15 minutes, so it's been in there for half an hour in total. I think time to get it out and give it a wash down. I mean, you can definitely see the pattern. I'm not sure how well it will come out once I give it a sand. So I'll give this a rinse with water first. And then, yeah, I'm going to give it another going over with the 800 grit. And hopefully, oh god, hopefully I get a really good pattern. Here we go. Oh man, that looks so cool. I really wanted to get this out using my high definition phone camera rather than the one I'm using on my iPad. But I didn't dare chance the fact that I might lose my grip on this using it one-handed. But bear with me, I'm going to give this a rinse down. I'm going to make sure all the acid is diffused. If that's the right word. Neutralised. And then I'll get you some good shots, because holy cow, this looks cool. I am so freaking happy right now. Check this out. That looks fucking sick. I don't care if it's only got 7 layers. It's so cool knowing that I actually made that. Like, that was not in existence before I forged that together. God, I'm happy right now. Just look at it, Jesus. Seriously, I cannot stop looking at this thing. It looks so freaking good. It's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning, and I've got work at 6:30, but I had to get this thing done before I went to bed. And the funny thing is, this project was nearly given up on. It was nearly just thrown away. And yet, out of that tiny little square of successful Damascus, I've got this thing. So, yep, no guesses what the next step is. Handle time. But in the morning. Okay, so we are now going to epoxy on the handle. I'm going to have to do this off camera because I don't have enough hands, but that's epoxy resin. I'm going to be pouring it in the end of that and then securing the blade, which I've just duct taped with an oily rag to stop it rusting in the meantime. So, bear with me. So the blade has been left overnight and is now set in the handle. As you can see, I've started sanding it down. Unfortunately, I didn't clamp it, so it's stuck out a little bit. So I might just have to do a little bit of tidy up there. I'm not quite sure yet. But yeah, I'm going to work on the handle first, using a rasp, files, and sandpaper. I think I might need to saw the sides off a little bit because there's quite a lot of wood there to remove. But yeah, I would be using my grinder, but unfortunately, even though it's light, it's quite late, and next door's kids go to bed early, so got to be quiet. There we are, rough shape now cut out, just a case of filing it down. Long way to go yet. Alright, so we have now got the rough shape sanded down. However, things I have learned, the epoxy I used has not set. As you can see, you can pull that apart. It's become almost like a sort of chewing gummy type thing, so I need to take this apart and start again, I think. The other things I've learned is polishing this up was pointless, as just by filing and sanding I've scratched it to buggery. And also that
cover I put on the blade, I need to retouch up the blade. I might even give it a second etch, because as you can see it's kind of faded, and I don't like that so much. I want it to contrast with a nice light handle. But the actual handle itself has come out quite nicely. So I need to disassemble this and really hope that I manage to not snap the handle, because that is a thin bit of wood. And I need to try and re-glue it. Ideally I would like to pin the blade, but I think the tang is so thin I'm not sure that's going to be possible. That's where we're at. There we go. Blade is disassembled. I've burned the epoxy back out of the handle, because that was the only way I could figure out how to get it out. But I've given the handle another sanding, just to make it nice and smooth, although I've just noticed I've missed a spot there, so I'll do that. And then I'm going to oil it with boiled linseed oil, and I'm going to leave it to soak, which I've not done before, but I think that should be okay. I hope I don't mess this up, because I haven't got any more of the poplar wood. But I have got other options if this messes up. Yeah, I just need to redo that bit. But it's nice and smooth. It's down to a 500 grit, and that's enough. Yeah, let's do that now. There we go. Handle is now submerged in the boiled linseed oil. I've had to weigh it down with a file, because otherwise this bloody thing floats. But yeah, that should keep it nice and coloured and nice and, well, treated, I suppose is the word. I don't really know. Anyway, I'm going to leave that overnight. Try and get some of those air bubbles off. And we'll see how that looks in the morning. Alright then, so here we go. The handle is now oiled and has been left outside to dry. I love this sort of almost like tiger eye effect it gives the wood. I think it looks awesome. And I've also attached on the guard now and given it a bit more of a organic looking shape to go with the handle. Which has come out quite well. I've put the blade back in for a second etch, having sanded it all down again, so that's doing that at the moment. And then it'll be a case of attaching the blade to the handle. I used super glue to get the guard onto the handle, and that's worked much better than the epoxy resin, so I'm going to use super glue on the blade as well and see if that works. And then I'm still toying with the idea of maybe drilling a couple of holes and trying to pinpoint the tang, which might be biting off more than I can chew, but I'll see how strong the blade holds with just the glue, and potentially I might leave it there. Just putting the last edge on it, getting it nice and hopefully razor sharp. And then this will be done. At last. That took a lot longer than I was expecting to get it finished. And there she is, all done. I am incredibly pleased with how that Damascus came out. I decided to keep it black in the end. I thought that actually looked really cool in contrast with the nice bright bolster and the handle. It is not perfect by any means. There are many things that could be improved on, but for the actual purpose of the video, to make my own Damascus into a blade, that I will class as a success. But do not worry, I am well aware that this is far from complete. But there we go, end of video.